These games are held at the Multi-Zone, where they carry a large selection of A Song of Ice and Fire products. Be sure to check out the link in the description for a 10% off code.
A Lannister always pays his debts. Our words are, hear me roar.
Unbowed, unbent, unbroken. The words of House Martell.
The Lannister army, NCUs, Cersei, Queen Regent, Joffrey Baratheon, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, Rose Bolton, calculating and cruel, a unit of gold cloaks with Tyrion Lannister, a unit of Knights of Casterly Rock with a Glory Seeker, a unit of Red Cloaks with the Widower, finally, a unit of Stormcrow archers with the army commander, Jokin.
The Martell army, NCUs, Aerys Oakheart, Crown's ambassador, Arianne Martell, heiress to Dorne, Lord Varys, the Spider, a unit of Dune Vipers, a unit of Starfall Outriders, a unit of Sunspear Royal Guards with Edric Dayne, finally Darkstar's retinue with the army commander, Gerold Dayne.
Round 1. Martells open the game with sand diplomacy. Lannisters choose swords and Martells choose letters. The Lannister then open with Joffrey on the horse and move the red cloaks up 5 inches. Joffrey's influence is put on the Starfall Knights. Arianne takes the crown and zaps the Stormcrow archers. They pass this test. Her influence is attached to the archers. Start of the turn, a Lannister pays his debts card is added to the Knights. Roose takes the bag and replaces it with a panic test, and puts out a panic token both on the Outriders. They pass the test and the token is spent for the re-roll, but they still pass. The Stormcrow archers activate and march into the forest with a pivot to finish. The Dune Vipers then activate and maneuver forward. The Gold Cloaks then march up to and pivot over the corpse pile. The Royal Guard then maneuvers forward. Cersei followed by Varys pass their turns. The Knights of Casterly Rock then perform a double maneuver forward, flanking the archers. The Starfall Outriders activate and maneuver forward. The Red Cloaks activate and maneuver forward. The round ends with Aerys Oakheart passing.
Round 2.
Martells have first move in round 2, and Arianne opens by taking the letters, drawing 2 cards, and putting a weakened token on the Knights of Casterly Rock. However, the Lannisters play intrigue and subterfuge, so she loses her influence ability this round. Before the Lannisters can claim a zone, Gerold Dayne plays a coup attempt and blocks the swords. If the Lannisters now claim the sword zone, Dayne's unit will get to make a charge. Joffrey activates taking the horse, and the Knights maneuver back slightly. His influence is then attached to the Dune Vipers. In response to the horse, Varys uses his first token, and Darkstar's retinue shift forward 3 inches. Varys then activates and takes the crown to zap the Gold Cloaks. Testings at a 9, they fail and take 1 wound. Roose then takes the bag and spends his second token to put a panic on the Dune Vipers and replaces the zone with a panic test on them as well. They fail their 6-up test for 4 wounds due to Joffrey's influence. Aerys Oakheart activates and takes the swords, but has no action to perform. This means that Cersei is now out of the round. The Stormcrow archers activate and maneuver back a couple inches. The Outriders now activate and maneuver just outside of long range of the archers and Jokin's overwatch order. The Gold Cloaks activate and move forward onto the corpse pile, pivoting so that their front is completely covered by the corpse pile. The Dune Vipers then activate and hold their position. The Knights of Casterly Rock activate and maneuver forward into 3+ charge range of the Outriders and declare their charge. Martells respond to the charge with the superior positioning tactics card. The charge, however, fails with a 2, and the Knights then pass their panic test on a 5. Darkstar's retinue then activates and countercharges the Knights. They succeed and attack the Knights in the flank, aided by Reckless Strike Tactics card and the Martial Training Order putting out a vulnerable token. The attack hits hard with 3 precisions and 7 more hits. The Knights block all but 2, but the vulnerable is spent, and 2 more get through for a total of 7 wounds. The Knights then pass their panic test. Reckless Strike also caused 1 wound on the attackers. Knights trigger Lannister supremacy at a -1 to their save, but Darkstar's retinue passes their test. Tyrion uses his order battle plan to throw away a counterstrike and bribery card and draw one of his choice from the deck. The Red Cloaks then move up and onto the center objective. Finally, the Sunspear Royal Guards attempt to charge the Red Cloaks at a 4-up and fail, but pass their panic test. End of round 2. At the end of round 2, the Red Cloaks score 1 for the center objective. Round 3. Round 3 opens with Asoiaf using his once-per-game ability to remain on the tactics board on the swords. He then puts a weakened token out on the Red Cloaks. Start of the turn. Rhoynish Vengeance is played on the Red Cloaks. The Lannisters drop Brothers in Arms on Jokin and his archers. Joffrey then takes the letters to draw 2 cards and put a weakened token on Darkstar's retinue. His attachment is added to the Starfall Outriders. Varys responds with his second token to draw a card. The second a Lannister pays his debts is attached to the gold cloaks. Arianne takes the bag and removes the panic and heals 3 wounds to the Dune Vipers. The second coup attempt comes out, but this time is used to draw a card. Ruse activates and takes the horse. The Red Cloaks do a slight maneuver back. When they perform an action, their Lannister Justice ability triggers, and they can force a panic test on an enemy in long range. Hear Me Roar is added to the test, and the Outriders fail for 4 wounds. Martells play Lone Knight to draw another card. The Outriders now activate and auto-charge the Knights. With rerolls, all 7 hit. 3 wounds get through, and they fail their panic for 1 wound, but Iron Resolve negates it. The Outriders trigger Rally Cry and heal 1 wound. The Knights then trigger Lannister supremacy on the Outriders. They pass but are panicked, and the token is spent, and on the re-roll they fail and take 4 wounds. The Knights then activate and hit with 4 dice to miss, and the weakened token is spent. On the re-roll, only 1 hits. The Outriders fail to block it and take 1 wound, but then play Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken to auto-pass the panic test. Darkstar retinue activate and attack the Knights in the flank and land all 7 hits with some crits. The weakened token is spent. On the re-roll, they land 6 hits. The Knights cannot block enough and are killed. Martells score a point, the Outriders pivot, and the Lannister pays his debt card is activated on the gold cloaks. Darkstar's retinue uses their overrun order to attempt a charge on the archers, but fail on a 1. They advance 7 inches and then take and pass a panic test. Cersei then activated and takes the crown. She uses a token to pull Hear Me Roar back from the discard pile, and then zaps the Outriders with the Hear Me Roar played to bring the panic test to a 9-up. They fail and take 3 wounds, killing them. Lannisters score a victory point, and both Rhoynish Vengeance cards now activate. The Royal Guard now declares a charge on the Red Cloaks, and although it is an auto-win, they roll a 1 and suffer a disorderly charge, losing re-rolls and cards. Before the attack, they use their order martial training, however. Tyrion is in short range and uses his counter-strategy order and passes the roll to cancel it. They attack and land 5 hits. The Red Cloaks block 2 on 4+ rolls and take 3 wounds. They then make and pass a panic test. The Red Cloaks activate and have rising temperatures played on them. They then use the Widower's Order, hold the line to put 5 hits out on the Royal Guard. They only block 2 and take 3 wounds. Then the Red Cloaks use Lannister Justice before their attack and zap the Dune Vipers, who fail for 1 wound. They then attack the Royal Guard, hitting on 5s. Now they land 3 and are weakened, leaving only 1 hit. The guards fail to block it and take a wound, but they pass their panic test and heal 1 back with Dauntless. The Dune Vipers now activate and successfully charge the Red Cloaks. Their Gang Up ability gives them 8 dice hitting on 3+. They land 6 hits. The Red Cloaks are saving on 3 now because of the low wall and take 1 wound. They then fail their panic test for 2 more wounds. The archers now shift 2 inches to their right and because of brothers in arms, shoot with 10 dice into Darkstar's retinue. Because Lannisters control the letters, their target also becomes vulnerable. 6 hits land, and they all get through for 6 wounds. They pass their panic test. Finally, the Gold Cloaks activate and charge the Royal Guards. Dune tactics is played on them, so they drop to their lowest attack with only 4 dice and no re-rolls. They land 3. The Guard fail 2 saves, but use their shield wall order to block both. They auto-pass the panic and should have healed 1 here. This ends round 3.
Round 4!
Martells open round 4 with Arienne on the swords. Her influence attaches to the archers to shut down Jokin's abilities. The Royal Guard attack and use their order martial training, but it's blocked by Tyrion's counter-strategy. They then hit the Red Cloaks with 8 dice on 2+. They land them all, but the Red Cloaks block all but 2 and pass their panic test. In response to the attack, the Lannisters play diversion tactics, so the archers can perform a maneuver. They move forward to have the forest covering their entire front. Joffrey then activates and takes the bag. The Red Cloaks heal 3 and remove the weakened token. Joffrey's influence attaches to Darkstar's retinue. Varys uses a token to heal 2 off the bag on Darkstar's retinue. He then activates and takes the horse to maneuver the retinue. The Red Cloaks activate and perform a retreat, triggering Lannister justice on Darkstar's retinue. Hear Me Roar is played and they fail for 4 wounds. Fealty to the Crown is played and the Red Cloaks heal 4. The Red Cloaks then retreat 8 inches. Darkstar's retinue then activates and charges the Red Cloaks, but are disorderly. They then use their martial training order for re-rolls and a vulnerable token. They also have boldness and courage, which the Gold Cloaks counter with their Laws of the Realm order, keeping them on 1 rank for attack dice. They land 4 hits and the Red Cloaks block 1. The vulnerable is spent, but they still block it, taking 3 wounds and failing their panic test for 2 more. The retinue heals 2 wounds from fueled by slaughter. The archers activate and maneuver back into the woods. The Royal Guard activate and attacks the Gold Cloaks, landing 6 hits, 3 get through, and they fail their panic test for 1 more wound. Cersei activates and takes the crown. She uses her last token to take Hear Me Roar from the discard and Subjugation of Power from the deck. Then she zaps the retinue at a -5 with +2 wounds, which they fail for 3 wounds. The Dune Vipers then charge the Gold Cloaks in the flank, but suffer a disorderly charge. Gang Up gives them 8 dice hitting on 3s and they land 6, saving on 4s because of the wall. The Gold Cloaks block 4, but fail their panic for 2 more wounds and become weakened from the spear and net ability. Rose takes the letters, taking Aerys out of the round. He replaces the zone with a panic test on the retinue with a -2, but they pass. Finally, the Gold Cloaks retreat and pivot towards the objective. The 2 Martell units pivot. Martells score 1 point for the center objective. End of round 4. Round 5. Martells open round 5 with the second Sand Diplomacy card. Lannisters mark the horse, and Martells mark the swords. The Stormcrow archers activate and shoot at Darkstar's retinue in the flank with 10 dice, but the Martells play Rising Temperatures, and only 4 dice hit on 5s. The retinue is saving on 6s, but only block 1 and die. Lannisters score a victory point, and the Red Cloaks get to pivot. Arienne activates and takes the crown to zap the Gold Cloaks, who fail for 3 wounds and die. Martells score a point. Her influence goes on to the Red Cloaks. Joffrey then takes the bag and heals 3 wounds to the Red Cloaks.
His influence attaches to the Dune Vipers. Varys takes the letters, draws 2 cards, and gives the Red Cloaks a weakened token. Cersei takes the sword so the archers perform a ranged attack. They shift 2 inches into the Viper's flank and get Sunder and re-rolls on 10 dice. All 10 hit, and the Vipers saving on 6s only block 2, taking 8 wounds. They fail their 8-up panic test for 3 wounds and are killed. Lannisters score a point. The archers gain vulnerable and weaken, and the already weakened Red Cloaks gain a vulnerable. Aerys now activates and takes the horse and uses it to maneuver the Royal Guard closer to the Red Cloaks. The Red Cloaks now activate and trigger Lannister Justice on the Royal Guard. They fail for 3 wounds. The Red Cloaks activate and march 10th inches, claim the center objective and pivot around. The Royal Guard now activates and are hit with subjugation of power and fail their panic test for 3 wounds. They then maneuver toward an objective and pivot back to face the Red Cloaks. Lannisters score 1 point for the center objective, and the round ends.
Round 6. Martells open the final round with Arianne on the bags to heal 3 wounds to the Royal Guard. Joffrey then activates and takes the horse to maneuver the archers closer to the Royal Guard. His influence goes on the Royal Guard. Varys takes the swords to block it, but can perform no action with the zone. Roose then takes the letters and replaces the zone with a panic test on the Royal Guard, but they pass and heal 1 from Dauntless. The Royal Guard activates, and the second subjugation of power is played on them. They fail the panic test, but use Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken to auto-pass the test and heal 1 more. They then move 2 and take an objective. Cersei takes the crown and zaps the guard again, but they pass and heal 1 more. The archers activate and move towards an objective. The Royal Guard activates and hold their position. Both factions score a point, and the game ends in a narrow Lannister victory. If you enjoy this content, please take a moment to like and subscribe. May the old gods and the new smile on you. Good gaming.